buffers. And we are live, Triple T, number 51. 51, can you believe that? We are almost at a full year's set of 52. Wow. December 20th, 2022. My name is TJ Zebel. I lovingly refer to myself as a professional problem solver. Yeah, a little road weary right now. Just got to Phoenix, drove from south of Dallas. Texas is big, long, big, a lot of driving, a lot of are we there yet? But enough of that. If this is your first time joining us, thank you so much. Please do me a favor and click the subscribe button, ring the bell, all the good channel recording stuff that helps get the word out. Please share this with others. Leave comments, good or bad. I found out that even the bad comments count as comments in the algorithm. So when I tell you to stop typing, type anyway. I can take it. Anybody got anything they would like to share publicly as I watch you guys tippy tap with each other back and forth about the last week? Any stories to share? Any insights, ahas, epiphanies? Yes, no?
I'll jump in really fast. I know we were kind of talking about it before we really officially got started, but I do think it's important sometimes to just notice that sometimes it isn't all sunshine and roses. So it has been kind of a rough week, but I will also say it is so good that I have the accountability, because knowing I'm going to be here every week means there's only so low I can ever fall, because I know I'm going to get called out when I come here. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
I love that she put such a beautiful spin on that. Well, no, because I completely agree with her. Like there is, when you have rough moments, there really is a new low. It's not the lowest that you've been, but you know how good you can feel. So you're like, all right, it's the new low, but you know you'll come back up. So I think I'm pretty sure that's what you're going. Similar. Maybe I'm just putting my frame on it. I would agree wholeheartedly with that, Holly. And I would also say that there are times where, for as much as we do know, we will still be our own worst enemy sometimes. So, we're human.
Me included. I definitely have my human episodes. Yes, that's what I'm going to refer to them as. And that, it's been a crazy week. The joys of the holidays. Speaking of which, Holly, do you ever get tired of hearing them that way, or do you really feel happy during the holidays, the happy holidays?
You know, when I was younger, nowadays, I think it's hilarious. When I was younger, I used to get really mad about it, and it just cracks me up because it makes me think of a cousin. So my sister's name is Julie, and my brother's name is Bryce. And so he started singing, "Have a holly Julie Christmas." It's the Bryce time of the year. I've never been able to get that out of my head.
Cool. Well, accountability is actually one of those really good things. That's why I've got to myself follow some of my advice. I am so good at giving advice. And it's amazing how the universe will just set things in motion where I'll have a client or somebody and I'm giving them advice and I hear this little tug on my shoulder by my good angel going, that's for you too. Just saying. Like, oh, yeah, that's probably why I was so good at it. See, I knew it. I just don't follow it. Yeah, you're going to hear a lot of stuff like that tonight. I am definitely road weary. And don't worry, dragon fruit, no alcohol involved. You get this 100% pure meat. Okay, accountability. Where was I? Oh, yes, I was going with that. I need to find a mastermind group. And if any of you that are watching this recording or any of you guys that are on the call, have you ever been part of a mastermind group? What were the results?
Would you consider it a mastermind or a high performance coaching group, or do you umbrella them under the same thing?
What was the result? I guess that would tell me.
Definitely a positive result. A lot of learning from other people, especially for me, I think that this is our mastermind. It's Triple T, but it is a mastermind, at least for me, because so many people come together and offer different insights on their perspectives. And we're not all at the beginning stage. We're all at different stages, which really keeps this beautiful shaping of everything coming together. And it's not like you needed that to build upon this, but it's, oh, you have this, now you have that. And it's just a progressive movement forward.
Thank you. That's when I started Triple T, that was part of why I'm so adamant about the second hour. I want the second hour to be all inclusive. I don't want to be the talking head for 2 hours of, oh, look at what I can teach you. I want to learn stuff as well. And I've had the honor of being in a couple of full-on true mastermind groups where each week somebody would bring something to the table, something that they were working on, something where they were challenged with. And if nobody had anything, then we would just pick a subject and deep dive and dissect. And it was really fun. But the thing that I like and that I tell people when choosing masterminds, be careful, shop around. Don't be the smartest person in the room, which is kind of a challenge because when the group knows that, you're like, oh, but I don't want to lose him because he's freaking smart. And so you want to find a group that challenges, just like Toastmasters. Have any of you done Toastmasters groups? Oh, please do. If you get a chance, find a Toastmaster group. If you are lucky enough to be in an area that has multiple chapters, shop them all. Don't settle with the one that's closest to you. And Lenora, you got your hand up?
So when you had first suggested masterminds and shopping around, and I think you suggested it a couple of times, which is great. I didn't realize how different they all were. So it really is important to shop around. That being said, I am in a BNI chapter and we can actually visit different BNIs. So I've started to really take this on and visit other chapters. And BNI is supposed to be known as this very professional networking component. And I went to a meeting today And it's supposed to be an hour and a half where you have the opportunity to network with each other. And the one that I went to was 15 minutes. And I was shocked that they allowed me to say, since I was the visitor, but I had no idea what anybody else did in the group. And it was more like a quick coffee check-in, like, here, I'm home, I'm in homeroom, I made it to class, and like then everybody went on their way. So I really do think it's quite important to really go and explore and see what people are bringing to the table, especially if this is something you want to level up with in your personal experience, that you want to get better than you were yesterday. The importance of really saying, okay, well, let me try this group, let me try that group, and really starting to learn, but learn collectively, because I would have never known if I didn't visit.
I was just going to say, what if that would have been your first group that you showed up to join and you thought that that's what it was? Totally.
Especially because you pay into that group, or sometimes you pay into that mastermind. And, I've even gotten some programs online where you pay into them. And then if they're not to your liking, to really ask for your money back, because you're not getting the value that you paid for it, and to not let that slide by. I really hold people accountable for that, because I think it is very important. I'm happy to purchase and invest in products when they're of good quality.
But I will challenge you, as I had.
Shocking.
Yes, I know. And especially for those that are watching the recording, if you don't find a group like that fits what you were looking for, guess what you can do?
Keep looking.
Start your own.
Oh.
And make them bring it to your standards.
That's a good point too.
My wife is dealing with that right now. She's part of a group she's part of a group, let's say, that she was part of. There were multiple chapters in the San Diego area. And luckily, the one that she was part of was very, very well organized. And the one that she found locally here, has her bummed out. Nice people, but the level of professionalism between the two is very evident. And it's quite a drive for my wife. And so I've been challenging her. I'm like, babe, start your own. Well, I'm like, no, you know how to run events, groups, all the above. You have your way of doing it. And if I had to choose between joining a group that is to your standards versus the others, I know which one I would join. And I said, don't do it out of spite to the other. I'm going to show you. It's far enough away, you're not in competition with them. And there are enough people in your area that need this type of a group, and they need it run well. And hopefully, once you get yours up and running, maybe some of the others will come to visit and go, wow. And sometimes people need that. The Toastmasters in San Diego, there was one that was right. I drove by it, by the location that they gathered 50 times a day. So I'm like, gonna do it. First night I was there, I won the topic award and the or as like topic out of the hat award. So kind of can't think right now. Anyhow, they first time there, and I'm against people that have been part of the group for, a couple of them had been part of the same group for 12 years. And it really, I'm going to be honest, bummed me out. I walked in, when I was walking out with these 2 awards going, I should be happy, but I'm not, because there was zero challenge when I can show up and right out of the gate blow away somebody who's been part of this group that is designed to make people better speakers. And so I followed the advice from some of the leaders in the industry that if you're the smartest one in the room, time to find another group. And it took me till the last group that I found, which of course was the farthest group away. And I sat in on theirs, and the person that won the award, the topic award that night, I was like, wow, that's how I want to be able to, that's the kind of presenter I want to be. They deserve that award. And then I spoke on the topic of the night, because I'm shy like that. And I was glad that I did not win, because the person who also won was another one where I was just like, and unfortunately, they were on a night that conflicted with something else that I was also very passionate about. Go figure, farthest group away, major scheduling conflict, best group that I found. So I guess the boil down on it, challenge yourself. Even if it's not a mastermind or something like that, find something to be part of with other people, to push yourself, compete with yourself, to make yourself better. And tonight's topic, if you saw the post on Facebook, 23 to 24, and anybody remember my topic when I started Triple T earlier this year?
Who do you want to be in 23?
Where are we headed with that? Anybody put any thought into that? Because, believe it or not, in 11 days, 11 days, everybody's going to have those beautiful things called resolutions or revolutions or thinky. Yes, constitutions. That's what Grandpa used to call it when he went to the bathroom. There's TMI. But it's funny when I listen to a lot of, so what was your New Year's resolution? I want to da-da-da. And I hate to say it, but I found a lot of them to be, I thought, short-sighted, self-serving, and nothing against that. I want to lose 15 pounds. All right. What are you going to do after that? And if that's your goal, what are you going to do to it? What's going to keep you on track to do it? And what do you want out of that goal? So tonight's talk is, 23 to 24. What are you going to do to get some more? What are you going to do in the 365 pages that makes up 2023 that is going to enhance life in 2024? Are your resolutions, are your goals, is your insight strong enough, deep enough, forward thinking enough to expand you that far? Or are you worried about something that you can check off your list by January 15th? I made a New Year's resolution. 15 days later, I'm done. Now I can stop thinking and go back to the way I was 17 days ago when I was comfortable. Ugh, that was a lot of work.
I feel like a lot of people underestimate what they can do in a year. Isn't that right? Like, I feel like I've done that before with myself, and then I definitely tried to be all in as much as I was willing to be all in during 2022, and I would definitely say it worked out for the better. I would have never guessed. I guess I would never guess I would be as far as where I am right now. I don't think I would have ever started an LLC. I don't think I would have ever done all the things that I've done, and thankfully have been encouraged and supported to.
And here's the interesting part. The fact that you were able to do that in 350 some days, what can you do in the next 365?
Very much so.
It's funny because there are times where I've I've felt that I'm kind of lazy at times. And then I get that look from people.
Have you met you?
Well,
I know you can see your reflection on Zoom, so just reintroduce yourself maybe.
My mom reminded me that, I'm the one that came home and said, I'm going to go to Europe in 2 months for a year. I don't know anybody there yet, but I know I've got some relatives somewhere, and somewhere there's a girl that I took to prom. I don't know, I haven't talked to her for a while, but I'm going to do it. And my uncle and I were crazy enough on Thanksgiving to go, you know what? It's going to get cold here up in the Northland pretty soon. What do you say we blow this town? And December 6th, we had everything loaded up into a pickup and headed south because I knew one person that lived in Phoenix. I bought a photography studio because I was DJing a high school homecoming or prom or something. I don't even remember what it was. And one of the top photographers in the area who did my senior photos asked me what I was doing. And other than DJing, I said, he goes, you should buy my studio. 2 months later, I owned a monstrous photography studio. Nothing like jumping out of the nest and learning how to fly on the way down, realizing it wasn't that tall of a tree. Ground. It's one thing if you jump off like, the Grand Canyon. You got a little while to figure out flap, flap, no, flap, 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 no. Okay, I can glide, still going down, but slowing down. No, this tree was about that tall. And the embers at the bottom were pretty hot. So, but that's why when I told Mom that I was going to start doing hypnosis out of the clinic, she's like, "Oh, okay, that's nice." I'm like, "Mom, this is like profession 28." She goes, and she said something very prophetic. She said, "Honey, your life has never been a straight line." And I think part of it is I wasn't worried about hitting ground because I knew that I could get up somehow.
That's poetic.
Well, and I didn't have, I'm one of the crazy ones that if there's 12 steps, as long as I can see half of the first one and know that somewhere after 6 or 7 or 10, I'll figure it out. I'll start walking. And that's where I have to be careful about how I talk to other people, because I know that some people, if there's 10 steps and they can't see step 14, they're paralyzed. And they need to have somebody to assure them that there's only 10 steps, not 14, and you only need to take the first one. And if you show up at step 10 and somebody added 4, you've already made it 10 steps, so what's another 4? It's one thing I like about doing carpentry and construction and repairs and things like that, especially on older homes. Woo, talk about Pandora's box. You don't know what's inside of that project. If you thought you needed to know everything that was in the project before you started, don't start ever, 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 ever. Because sure enough, if you're sure there's only 3 steps, there will either be 3 or 30. Rarely will there be 2. But the cool part is when you get done, even if you thought there were 3 and there ended up with 30, you get to look at the 30 steps. That's why I love watching shows like The Craftsman. If anybody out there watching this recording or on this call has not yet heard of the TV show The Craftsman, Eric Hollenbeck from Eureka, California. Oh my. I could go out and work for that guy tomorrow and still learn things every day. Another one that I enjoy is Had It. Here it goes. Squirrel will bring it back, hopefully. but I like things like that. One of the shows that I watched for a while was Homes on Homes. And he's a contractor up in Canada, eh? And when people get taken by contractors, Mike Holmes will show up and assess the level of shoddiness, shall we say. And then he guts the place. And on one episode, he stated, he goes, I've gotten a lot of questions. Do I always gut the place? He goes, yes. Because I don't know what the contractor did before I got here. I don't know what he hid. I don't know what kind of work he did. But if I'm here, it probably isn't good. Sure enough, he opens up the walls and finds all sorts of stuff, and then he does it right. Now, most of the time, these are houses that people have recently purchased and started new major projects. The other ones that I like are, I think one was called Flip on a Dime or something like that. And they showed all of these little things that you can do that aren't going to break the budget, but look like you spent 100 times more than you did. Now, I'm talking a lot about houses and stuff. Same applies to us. There are so many things that we can do out there to improve our income, our education, our value to the marketplace, all of the above, that do not require putting our life on hold so that we can go invest hundreds of thousands of dollars at some university to get a piece of paper that hopefully will grant us a little more income. So in the who do you want to be in 23, you're in competition with yourself. Nobody else. You can use other people as a comparative to push yourself. As long as you don't compare yourself to them. Use them as a guide map. I like their lifestyle. I like where they've come from. They have a great story. How did they do it? Now duplicate that. You don't have to jump in the middle of the woods and blaze the trail and cut down everything and set up your own freeway. If somebody already has designed the freeway and you can get on it and go. And don't shoot for the 10-yard line just because you can see it. That's why I like the saying, don't shoot for the moon, shoot for the stars. That way, if you fall short, you'll probably still hit the moon. And of course, me being the ever optimistic, shoot for another galaxy. Then you'll get beyond the moon and maybe hit a different It's better to shoot for the stars and miss than to shoot for the manure and hit it. Growing up where I did, yeah, that makes a lot of, right there. And I know I've been rambling for a while. You guys got any input, ahas, epiphanies like to share, or? Yeah, no.
If I can get there, the yawn. I was thinking that today because I know I love to look out into the great wide landscape of YouTube and see what other people are doing, and that they did that, so I have to do that, and I have to do that, and I have to match everybody else versus kind of coming to the conclusion of mine's just going to look a little different and letting it be my own rather than I need to do that. And it's just knowing what is right for me right now and then moving forward from that standpoint rather than thinking I need to do it all at once.
And to quote Dr. David Snyder, I love him. He's the one I heard it from first. An imperfect something will always be better than a perfect nothing. If you're sitting there waiting until you can get it perfect before you do it, and then all of a sudden 2 years flow by and you still have nothing out there, this right here, episode 51, is proof of that. I waited at least a minimum 3 years to get started because I thought I had to have content listed out, and I had to have, and it was going to be really hard to get set up, and it was that I would probably need a video studio, and I was going to need a sound man and a makeup person, and I was going to need a computer with internet access and somebody be able to hear me and people to show up. And 51 episodes later, we're one away from a whole deck of 52. So, oh, Glam Squad, yes. So here we go again. Who do you want to be in 23? What little steps can you do? Where can you start? Do you need an accountability partner? Do you need an accountability village? Hi, Fran. Okay. Said hi, everyone. I'm on the phone and not talking for a bit. I have to read them out because I found that the comments don't show up on the YouTube recording. So it would be like, pardon?
Okay, I'm going to ask a kind of weird question about all this. In the past, I've always had somewhere I wanted to go. I knew, like 50 things, rather the trouble was narrowing it down to one. But what if you're, for some reason right now, I don't even have a target to select to go for. So how would any of you handle that if you were in that scenario?
Do you remember my quote from last week?
Which one?
About shooting the gun.
I'm going to have you repeat it. It's not coming to mind immediately.
Do something with your life. Shoot for a target, even if you don't know what it is. Sometimes it's worth it just to hear the gun go off. Jordan Peterson, if you don't know what to do something. Because you may be going down the path and realize, oh, I should be over there. But you would have never figured that out until you got that perspective from there. Obviously, you couldn't see it from back there where you were sitting wondering what to do. How do you think I ended up with 28 professions? Part of it was there was a number of factors in there. No, I wasn't one of those that was job jumping and all the above. Part of it was I was traveling and would take anything to keep myself fed and housed. And I wasn't afraid of, well, I don't know if I can do it. Usually it was, okay, it's been a while since I've done this. So if you could just kind of give me a quick refresher on how you would like it done. So, trial by fire, I think they call it. The other was the motto of, I was looking for a job when I got this one. Yes, I got something that will help put food in my belly. But I know there's something better out there. And a couple of times I let myself down. I stayed at a job longer than I should have, for less than I should have. Because I got a job, and now I kind of like the people I work with. So I think I'll stay here. And if I could talk to the younger me, survival and the comfort zone are nice places to be, but not much grows there. And I couldn't help anybody else out. I could barely help myself. And so my goal for 23 is to work on my side hustles. And I'm toying with the fact, or with the idea of learning Spanish much better. And just keep pushing myself. Teach more. I want to do at least three classes in 23. Because I'll have the apartment done. Then I'll only have 6 trillion projects left on the property. And that will always be that way. Just because of the way I am and the tools that I own and the knowledge that I've been blessed to acquire. But I'm going to challenge you guys and gals and whoever else is tuning in. How much farther can you push yourself in the next 370 days? Lenora.
Holly, I think the question that you had asked, when you don't know what to do, what do you do next? Is that what I got? Okay. So I had written down, TJ was talking earlier, and I started to write some stuff down, and this doesn't quite answer your question, but just reflecting on the last decade or 15 years of my life, I can honestly say that I've been uncomfortable every single day of my life and pushing myself and finding whether it was thinking about something or actually going through with it. But because I've been uncomfortable, I had to keep moving forward. And the years where I was uncomfortable and I didn't do anything about it, I honestly regret them, but I would have never gotten to where I am now. So if you can see yourself in a year from now, what do you want to, what is that version of you want to tell you right now? And even go 2 months or 6 months out. And what is that version? Because having a conversation of that, and then even reflecting back on, you can tell where my timeline is. Just being aware of, they all were uncomfortable, but I regret those way more than the uncomfortable things that I pushed to do in the last 2.5 years, 3 years, whatever it's been. So I don't know if that helps, but those are my thoughts.
Helps a ton. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I know I went off on a little tangent because, again, it's an excuse, whatever, but tired. Get a group of people, whether it's one-on-one or whatever, that will push you out of your comfort zone. If you know that you're enjoying the comfort zone, the best thing you can do is ask for help. And sometimes for us humans, we love to help, but we hate to ask. And the problem with not asking is you rob the people that want to help you the most the joy that you enjoy when you get to help people.
And you guys are hitting it right on the head. You can see I'm definitely reacting. Thank you.
And do me a favor. If you know anybody that likes to do Excel spreadsheets or stuff like that, have them help you do a spreadsheet on all of the skill sets that you have, so that it can be spread out into all of the areas that you didn't think of. Oftentimes we get so, well, this is the job label that I've had, and so this is what I do. And I think that's all that the world knows to do with these job skills that I have. And then you get somebody from the outside going, yeah, but these 7 job skills also apply to this over here. And you're like, the what? Oh, and they also apply for this over here. The what? And there's a job opening that is kind of like this one, except it pays 3 times what this one used to. The what? Well, yeah, you got to move, but. Trust me, I know. 28 professions later, when I was blessed to work with Lillian Pearl Bridges, and she looked at my it was pretty evident to her that even though there were 28 different job sets, they all had a very common core of skill sets. Kind of like Lenora. What are common ingredients in cookies, cakes, pies?
Butter, sugar, flour, baking, leavening agent, eggs.
You mean like you can take all of those basic ingredients and make all of that?
Okay. So you can have the most incredible sugar. You can have the most beautifully sifted flour, the most magically creamed butter, the finest eggs, and you can combine them all. But if you do not add the single most important ingredient, the leavening agent that is needed, you will not make that baking ingredient rise. You are the most important leavening agent to your life. You can have all these ingredients, but until you bring you to it, it will not rise. So bring you.
As long as we're talking cooking, let's have even more fun. Mexican cooking. Who likes Mexican food?
It's pretty good. I like the guacamole.
Would you like a quesadilla? No. Okay, I roll it up. It's a burrito. Well, I wanted something different. Okay, I fold it. It's a taco. It's all in the presentation. You can allow yourself to be flexible with the ingredients, with the settings, with the job title, with the whatever. It's still you. 2023, what do you want to be? I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. I tell you.
Day now.
Adulting is not for everybody. I've tried it a couple of times. It is not for me most of the time. Those of you that know me well enough know that that can be a true statement. Imagine growing up. I did for quite a while. It gave me a headache. I was like, wow. You meet some of those adults and you realize that they forgot their childhood many years ago. I've even met a few kids that started adulting way too early, and I'm like, whoa, 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 you're 10. But to add to that, I was also lucky enough to have a number of mentors around me that let me know that they would treat me the age I acted, not the age on my birth certificate. And that gave me immense latitude. And in some ways, I grew up much faster than I needed to, but they never told me I had to be an adult. I had the option. Which opened my mind up for what am I capable of at any age. If I wanted to act 25, what does a 25-year-old know? So at 12 years old, I was working in a mechanic shop. 14 years old, could rebuild a small block Chevy. Because I didn't know that 14-year-olds weren't supposed to be able to know how to do that stuff. Now, 6 minutes left. I want to close out my first hour of Triple T 51 with a heartfelt request for everybody that hears this recording live or Memorex. That dated me. How far can you push yourself out of the comfort zone in the next 370 or 66 days, so that in 2024, your momentum is going to unquestionably take you to more. E equals MC squared, I think it was. Get the momentum. And I'm going to turn it over to you guys early this one, because you ladies pointed out something very beautiful and prophetic in the beginning. Do you remember what you said about the second half of Triple T? For those that are just that mystic, could you reiterate it, please?
That this is our mastermind, because everybody comes together from different levels and different backgrounds and different pieces, and everybody really brings a beautiful collective wholeness to the group.
Which is exactly what I wanted the second half of Triple T to be. So, with or without the topic of the day, what would you guys and gals like to bring to the table for episode 51? Hello, lovely friend.
I would love to bring to the table, okay, everybody's talking about getting outside of your comfort zone, but how to make that a pleasant experience instead of a cringing experience, how to make it exhilarating rather than, oh my God, I've got to do this. I mean, that's just such an important, magnificent way of moving forward, embracing this unknown. Anybody got any good suggestions?
As usual, I love to wait until everybody else has commented.
I'll jump in. So the first thing I would say is change the language, because anytime you're saying I've got to, I should, I have to, those words immediately change. So you can change it with, you don't have to do anything. Even if it's something that you don't, maybe it's a step that you don't like, you're doing the step you don't like because there's something behind it that you do like. So changing, I get to, I choose to, I want to, even just changing your language, just that little bit, and just notice yourself saying it too. And just like a limiting belief, every time you hear that, just reword it. I'm sure there's other things, but I'll let others talk for a minute.
And I think this, oh, sorry, go.
No, you're good. Oh, wait, go. Okay. So there's, I mentioned earlier, Fran, that I've been uncomfortable every day, and recognizing that is something that really hit me tonight. That says, and I literally wrote down, I survived every day that I've been uncomfortable doing whatever it was that I was uncomfortable. And I loved, TJ pointed out the other day that he said, not the other day, like minutes ago, he said, even if he was going to hit the ground, he knew he could pick himself back up. And I really enjoyed that. I thought that was great, because I can also see other people when they feel like they hit their ground, but they do pick themselves back up. And when it comes to moving into comfort, recognizing every day that, hey, this was uncomfortable, but I did it and I was fine. And hey, I didn't like it, but I survived it and it was uncomfortable and I did okay. There's a book actually called The Comfort Crisis and it's by Michael Eastern. It's a phenomenal book. And he really talks about, he pushed himself into completely different environments. Like he went on this very long hunting component, and he really sat with being uncomfortable. And especially if you listen to anything by Stoics, they really sit with the discomfort and observe it, acknowledge it, be in it, be present in it. And one person had said to me, and I'm sure so many people have heard it, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I hated the idea because the context of what she had said it to me was in the medical field, and I was with babies, and I did not like the way that was said to me. And looking back, I see her different perspective. In that moment, that was a terrible piece of advice, but now looking back, I can be like, oh, okay, I see where she was coming from. But if you can acknowledge, hey, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm okay in that moment. And I love Holly's changing the language of it. Like, I get to do this. And you might not be excited, but really look at it and say, okay, I'm going to be uncomfortable and I'm going to do it anyway, and going forward with that. That's my thoughts.
That's beautiful. I mean, we also need to acknowledge that there are some people that absolutely can't make themselves, or don't want to make themselves get out of their comfort zone. And I think we need to be comfortable acknowledging that as well, and respecting it, because it's not for everybody. And the other thing that gets me through more than anything else is humor. If I can laugh at how ridiculous it is and how stupid I am for being upset about it, life's a game. And if we play it as a game, it's much easier to get outside of that comfort zone, because, the stakes aren't so high if you're playing. And like TJ was saying, it's all about not being an adult, going back to being playful and childlike and embracing it. This is what we've been given, and it is a game. And when I get bogged down, I realize I'm being too serious. I'm taking myself too serious. I'm taking the situation too seriously, and the stakes get multiplied. They go up so high with if it happens or if it doesn't. And if you can just find the humor of being okay if it happens or if it doesn't happen, then it's easy.
A few other things that I want to add to that. Either by yourself or with the help of somebody else, drill down to your values and criteria. Why are you doing it? What are you trying to get out of it? When you understand the why, the how typically comes much, much easier. And the other is chunk it down. Too many people are overwhelmed at their idea of the scope of the project. And all too often you hear, well, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I just said it myself, triple T. Much easier than I thought it was going to be. This could have been year number 3. But I finally, and the funny part, I think I decided I was going to do it about this time last year. I finally just said, I'm going to do it.
That kind of leads into my idea of creative procrastination. If it's too hard to meet it head on, distract yourself, do something else, but do something. And when you do something else, quite often your unconscious mind is in the background, just sorting out all the other stuff that you're not thinking about, not worrying about, not putting pressure on yourself about. And that makes it easier. And you've already got something big done because you were putting off the biggest thing, and you already got the second biggest thing done because you were avoiding the first one. But what I was talking about with humor, there's always that, for me at least, there's always that little bit inside that's holding on to this precious thing of, I want it so bad. I want it so bad. That bit, I haven't quite worked out how to really let go of that and let that be funny too. So how do you get to the deepest, precious core of you and be okay with laughing at that?
I don't care for laughter sometimes because some may refer to me as a little sensitive, and when people might be like, or like making like a joke, and I take it very, very personally, and they're like, it was a joke, I'm just teasing, and I take it very personally. So I don't always laugh, but I do have conversations with that part that's really wanting to be heard. And sometimes I will bring in, if I can't, my subconscious will come in with somebody else who can talk that part through when they're being a little challenging, and bringing in another person, if it's not myself, but bringing in somebody else that really resonates. Or I'll even ask, who might help us, because it might feel like I'm pushing with myself, but I can ask who might help us, and my subconscious will bring in somebody else who might be able to resolve it. And I'll have that conversation and that whole shebang in there. So it might not be funny and there might be tears, but that's just how I tend to process stuff.
That's really useful. Thank you.
Just gonna throw this out there too. Sometimes with any psychological need, whether it's I really need to have this, or I need approval, or whatever, sometimes the goal, I think, is to deactivate that. But sometimes I found it's actually more powerful to say, how can I leverage this to get what I want? Because when I get into those moments of, I really don't want to do this, like, I know for me, FOMO, fear of missing out, is a big deal. Also, approval is a big deal. If I can find the right people to approve of me and connect with that person, the fact that I want them to approve of me will give me 10 times the energy to get something difficult done. So, I mean, and once again, sometimes it is better to get rid of it, but sometimes it's also just better to say, oh, I've noticed something I really care about. This gives me the strength to do stuff. How can I strategically use this to get what I want?
I have two things to add now as well. One, announce it publicly. Put yourself on the spot where, like some people that want to quit smoking but have had challenges before will announce publicly so that there's more of a push on themselves to hold up to their word, because now they've mentioned it to other people. And the other one, ask for help. Even if you have to pay somebody to help you. The funny part is, the contractor that I hired to help with the apartment said it very prophetically, because he said, well, I got to go, and I hired somebody to come over and help me with the road maintenance. And he goes, yeah, I could probably do it myself, but something about having that guy show up and I'm paying him, I'll work 10 times as hard to get it done because I'm paying the guy. And I said, that's why you guys are here to help me. Do I know how to frame and sheetrock? Yes. But I can pay you and get it done in 3 months, or I can do it on my own and get it done in 13 months. So you don't even have to get somebody to help you do things that you don't know how to do. Sometimes you're just helping them, or getting somebody to help you do what you know what to do, so that you feel the obligation, the accountability, the drive. And maybe they're going to ask you the questions. Why are you doing this? How do you want it done? Why do you want it done that way? What's another way you could do it?
And it gives you the teamwork, the ally, your support system.
Yes. Awesome.
Kind of on the side note, but just to comment about what TJ was just saying too. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the concept of absolute advantage and comparative advantage from economics. But what this says is so absolute advantage means that you can do something better than anybody else. So let's say, you make tables, and let's say we're not going to worry about quality. We're just going to say they're all the same. You can make 50 tables in an hour and your neighbor can only make one. Oh, look, I'm so much better at making tables. I've got 50 more than one. That's an extreme example, I know, but that's the absolute advantage. The comparative advantage, though, says, let's also say that in that same hour, you could make 200 chairs, and the other person can only make one chair as well. So I made the numbers way too big. It's going to make it sound funky. But the idea is you have to give up way more chairs to make one table than they have to give up. So it is possible for you to have the absolute advantage in everything, to be the best at everything. But, and that's, your opportunity cost. What do I have to give up to do this? You will never have the comparative advantage in everything. And so what economics tells us is, even though you're the best at everything, even though you've got the absolute advantage in everything, you should still look and always ask yourself, what am I giving up to do this project? And if you're giving up too much, it's better for you to outsource it and do the thing you're the best at, the thing that's the best use of your time. So anyway, sorry, I just wanted to jump in on that one.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
It was absolute advantage and what, Holly? Comparative?
Yeah. Comparative advantage is when you look at your opportunity cost. Absolute advantage is just, who can make it with the fewest resources.
The funny part about that is, while you were talking about that, squirrel delivered to me, just because you know how to do it doesn't mean that you should be the one doing it. Like Jim Rohn said, just because you know how to mow your lawn doesn't mean that you should be the one out there mowing it. Because in the hour that you could be working and making $200 an hour, you could employ somebody to mow your lawn for $20 an hour and still have $180 left over to benefit somebody else.
But it all depends whether you enjoy mowing your lawn. If you're mowing your lawn gives you a bit of time out so that you can be creative, and while your mind's focused on mowing the lawn, then that's a fish get.
That's values and criteria right there. Are you getting $200 an hour of pleasure by mowing your lawn instead of doing what you're doing? Or are you mowing your lawn because if you mow your lawn, you don't have to be in there working on that project that you're afraid of, that you don't want to do, that you hate?
And this kind of segues into the struggle of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And one thing that came to me recently is, okay, with the struggle, what other blessings or what other benefits am I getting from this struggle? What are the side things that are happening that are really, really good that I didn't even notice until I actually stopped and looked? That while I'm really struggling with this, I'm learning other skills along the way. I'm actually making my life better by I have to be more social or something like that. If you look at the side blessings, there's a lot of good stuff. And that takes the pressure off. I have to achieve this goal and gives you the flexibility into being playful about it, because it's not, this big arrow that's all going to one direction. You've got all these other things flowering all around you so you can enjoy the journey.
Yes.
All this conversation brought up one more thing too. Something that Dean Graziosi said that will always stay with me is when you're making your goals, the hardest and most important decisions are what you choose not to do, not the things that you're selecting to do. So if that resonates.
And also, it's really important to value the lessons of what you don't want along the way, and backtracking and turning around if necessary along the way. That, okay, I thought I wanted this, but actually, no, it's not where I want to go. And so you get your course correction, and that's an enormous value and blessing as well in itself. Being able to say, no, I know now that I don't want that.
Yep. Ties right into what I said about Jordan Peterson. If you don't know what to do something. Because as long as you are moving forward, you will quickly find out, is this the path I should be on? Or should I be over there? Or should I be over there? But you couldn't see it back there. And the other thing, put it in lists. Sometimes having it written down, typed down, Excel spreadsheet down, something where you have the ability, oh, squirrel. And what are you going to do for yourself when you accomplish it? You are allowed to reward yourself. Sometimes it's just a victory pose. Sometimes, if I get this done, I get a fill in the blank. If I get this done, spa day. If I get this done, vacation.
Lots of little waypoints to celebrate along the way.
Yes.
But the power of the lists is really good, because if you can see it as well, then you're getting you're certainly getting, more senses activated, which again generates more thoughts and how you can achieve your goal. But especially if you're feeling vulnerable, making lists of the resources that you have to achieve this goal is also really useful. And resources also being friends and time and people and things you hadn't actually identified as resources before now. There's an awful lot more that just goes under the radar until we write it down. So yes, TJ, making lists is really powerful. And then
I was
reading.
I was talking with somebody a little recently about this, and I said, chunk it down as small, and the reply was, well, my mind just said, well, that's too small. And I said, perfect. And if it's too small, then take 2 or 3 or 4 of those too small steps and make them 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. And as you mark them off, A is done, B is done, C is done, D is done, 1 is done. Done! Victory! Yay! When I work with some people, I tell them, even if your list has to start with make the bed in the morning, make coffee, take a shower. If that gives you the ability to go, made the bed, did the 3 S's, on with my day, and you get to check those off, you get to visually see that and have that come through. Lenora?
Sorry. I like what Elijah wrote. He said, I learned 2 things this year. Now, I don't remember the first one, but the second is definitely to write shit down. That was hilarious, Elijah. When it comes to getting things done, I know, Holly, you mentioned, kind of like which way to go. I did a cookie business for a good 8-9 years of my life. And I thought that, so I have my speech pathology degree, and I was like, hey, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to start cookies. And that's what I want to do. And that's what I wanted to do. And I thought this was going to then be, had you asked me in 2011, 2012, 2013, this was going to be what I was going to do. I was going to do this. And I did do it. But come 2019, I didn't have the passion for it anymore. And it was one of those where I came to the conclusion, even though it was doing well, it was just simply, yeah, you know what, let's do something different. And it was totally fine. And, and it wasn't just like, oh, fold up shop. It was a process of mourning and going through the decision to bring everything to a halt. I had a TV person reach out to me at one point, asking me to come on the TV show. I was in a coffee shop. I reached out to Unique Pretzels, had my stuff in their place. And it was just something where I was like, you know what? I'm only going to focus on Unique Pretzels. And then even after that, and this year, when I talked to you guys about it, I came to the conclusion that I wasn't going to keep going. And it was totally fine. I survived. I was uncomfortable. Periods of me didn't like it. And there were periods of me that definitely heard me cry about it. And it's totally fine. I survived. And it was really one of those, now that you can look back, you can see the bridge and you can see the connection and you can see the dots and all the wise words of, you couldn't figure the dots out had you looked forward. You could only see them going backwards. And TJ's got a squirrel. Go for it.
That knowledge never goes away, and you never have to get rid of it. It's amazing how many people ask me if I still cook. I'm like, yes, I still have dimes. They ask me if I still do photography. I'm like, yep, I still own a camera. And I may get back into it. I may. But that's one thing. Earlier, I was going to comment of, if you only knew how many jobs I go around and go, oh, I could do that. No, they don't pay enough. Do you know how many times I've been offered a job at Home Depot? In a year, in a month, sometimes in a day.
I think
Could
they
I
passed
do
you
it?
the honorary apron, right?
They've threatened to give me an apron. And I've threatened to have my mail delivered there just because it'd be easier some days. But when those changes show up, you don't have to cut that off and say it'll never more. That's the beauty of moving forward and realizing that we are always evolving. Jim Rohn, if you don't like where you are, move. You're not a tree.
And if you don't like who you are, be someone different.
Yes. You can be anything you want.
He cracks me up. Oh, banana peels. I had a squirrel.
Squirrel!
I think of, okay, got it back. When we're little, we're said, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be? What's this one thing that you want to be? And we think that that's what we're going to be for our entire life. And sometimes you are, and sometimes you're on 28 careers and you have all this incredible knowledge and this life experience that lets you help so many people because you have this incredible perspective. And sometimes you've traveled through a variety of conferences where you've talked to people and Zoomed with them over how many times, Holly? I know you've done that epically. And you've done so many different things and you can relate to so many people because of all this experience that you have. So it's not one thing and this is all I do. This is one thing I do. This is the other thing that I do. And I do a little of that and I do a little of that. It's a smorgasbord. Let it all come together. Everybody loves a buffet.
Well, I should do it right now, but I'd like to see what the internet would come up with if you started Googling crazy jobs or how many jobs. Take
Sorry,
care.
call out, gotta go.
Be safe. Hopefully see you in 7. Love you. Bye-bye. Okay. So if we were to Google some questions like that, I wonder I know there was a TV show that really blew my mind, and I should find it again. And it was something like The Most Crazy Jobs or something like that, or you get paid to do what? One of those kind of TV shows. And I literally remember the amount of times, not the exact amount of times, but it was like, they get paid to do that? Like for real? Like for real, for real. How much? Like for real? And some people just didn't realize that they weren't supposed to get paid to do that stuff. Thank God they didn't know it, because they were making a good living doing it. The other thing I like is the amount of, there was an article, I believe, in, I don't remember the name of the magazine, but it was the number of people who, after the age of 50, I believe it was, that had these amazing corporate jobs, great income, that just went, I'm done. F this. And went and did something that they always wanted to do and never regretted it and made great money. They just were like, wow, if I would have known that I could have jumped and did this thing completely unrelated to my 20-year career and had this much fun and made this much money, I would have had a 5-year career. But Lenora also pointed out something, being careful when making a passion a profession. I ended up with the photography studio because I always enjoyed photography. When back in the day with the little 410, what were the Instamatics? Mom could never keep the flash cubes because they were all burned up. The film deals were all filled up, and then she'd take them in and be like, who took a picture of the sunflower? They're back. Thanks, Mom. I was yearbook photographer, and then I ended up owning a photography studio and having to pay my bills taking pictures, which was great until it didn't pay my bills anymore with digital cameras in '07 when the economy took a big flush. And I get glimpses of that passion here and there, but not enough to want to go back and open another studio. Although, by the time somebody hears this recording, maybe someday, I did purchase a new printer to start custom prints again of all of the stock photos that I have taken over the years. And I'm going to start selling my prints again. Not because I need to live off of them, but because they're doing nobody any good on a hard drive. I would rather just print them out and give them away just so I have the satisfaction of seeing them up on somebody's wall. But I think they would mean more to people if they purchase them. Sometimes you have to also understand that people need the feeling of value added. One of the things they say, the easiest way to get rid of a couch that you need to get rid of is not to set it out on the curb with a sign that says free, because it will sit there until it is absolutely a useless piece of junk that needs to be hauled off to the junkyard. Easiest way to get rid of it, put a good price on it or best offer. $200 or best offer. Somebody comes up and says, well, would you take $50? Sold. You were going to give it away for free anyway. Just don't put your own value too low. Been there, done that. Still got the bills. Mo, good to see you, my man. And now you can join in. I don't know if you saw the topic of the evening that was before. We can talk on that, or you can talk about anything that you would like to bring up to the table. But
No, I come in late, so I missed everything. I have to go back and watch the recording.
That's okay. The topic is a spin-off from my first topic of back in episode 1 or 2 is who do you want to be in 23? And so today I posted 23 to 24. What are you going to do to have even more? Poet didn't know it. But we've been talking a lot about limiting beliefs and the little voices that keep us from going out and getting out of our comfort zone and finding accountability partners and breaking it down into lists and stuff like that. So we can either talk about that, or do you have anything that you would like tossed on the table and discussified?
Not really, but I do agree that accountability partners are critically important just to help keep you on track. Most people the odd person can really do it by themselves, but most people can't. You can always find some, oh, I'll do that, but I'm going to do this first. And then that never gets done, right? Yeah.
Guilty.
Yeah. So one of the videos that you sent me about different kinds of relationships with masculine energy and stuff, that was really good. I really enjoyed that. Remember that one?
Yes and no, kind of no, maybe yes. That's the problem. I send out so much stuff. I'm going to chase a squirrel real quick about this. Building your tribe, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, Triple T, at work, family, whatever. When it came to social media, it cracked me up how many people, when I would talk about, do you have a Facebook account? Yeah, I had one. It was just a bunch of blah, 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 blah. I just shut it down. I went, well, that's your collection of people that you've collected. And if you are collecting a bunch of people that are just, maybe you could find new people. My collection of people, like on Facebook and Instagram, I get a lot of really cool stuff that I turn around and share with the rest of my group that turn around and share back with me. And yeah, there are some times on Instagram or Facebook, I'm like, and I've got 48 messages to try and catch up on. But I try to catch up on them on purpose because I know who they're coming from. And I know that they're not sending me funny cat videos. Or if they are, it's one of the few, and it's a really good one. And they send me more than just because they know if all they send me is funny cat videos, eventually I'm going to be like another cat video. And if you're into cats, comment below. Tell me how much you hate the fact that I'm not going to watch all your funny cat videos. I'm all for it. But those of you that are on my Instagram, you've seen some of the stuff that has been sent to me or that I've found and that we've shared. There's great stuff on Facebook. There's great stuff on Instagram. I hear there's probably good stuff on TikTok, but what I've heard about the algorithms and how they're using it and all the above, that's one platform I'm probably not going to be on. So if you remember what you're referring to, Mo, could you share it? Because I'm drawing a blank. I just chased a squirrel.
I can't remember all it was, but it was basically, it was a psychologist talking about masculine energy and your relationship with masculine energy and how it affects you, like affects a man as an adult, on how he overcompensates or how he chooses his partners, as far as chooses people, like, for example, chooses women that need to be saved, right? You need to help them. It creates, depending on how you were raised, you can have an unhealthy attachment with your mother. Well, you have to take care of your mother. She becomes more of a dependent on you than you're not her sibling anymore. You're almost her caretaker, right?
Yep.
So she had 4 different topics on it, and I can't remember all of them. It wasn't actually something that I prepared to talk about, but I just thought I could really see how a lot of that played out in my life and how it plays out in a lot of people's lives that I interact with, right? Having a father that is there but not emotionally available or just totally absent, right?
Yep.
So it's all these different things that we don't actually think about, but they play such a critical part in how we move through the world, right?
And I think what you just touched on there, I remember about as much as you do. I remember the video. I remember going, wow, that hits home, especially not only with me, but with a lot of clients. But it also touches on your tribe and masterminding and sharing information like this so that you can share it with others who can share it with. That's the joy of viral. And I would much rather have information like that go viral than the latest cat falling off a picnic table.
I 100% agree with you. We're in a little bit of a unique bubble though, because the people that, like everybody in this room and the people that we surround ourselves with are of a different caliber and very much into self-development and improving ourselves and learning and always trying to get to that next level, which there's a lot of people in society that's not their wheelhouse. Not right or wrong, it's not what they're into, right? So I do agree with you with what I see on Facebook and Instagram and everything else. The people that I'm connected to are sharing very much stuff that I'm in alignment with. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be friends with them, right?
Well, that brought up another thing. Recently, I ran into somebody that I've known for quite a while, and they have one of those seasonal jobs, and they work their butt off. I'm not saying they're lazy, but they work their butt off all summer, and then they collect unemployment in the wintertime because their job is set up that way. And so they've recently got into the off season and collecting unemployment. And I said, okay, so why aren't you looking for something else? Well, then I won't get unemployment. I'm like, what if you made enough money to where you didn't need the unemployment check? And if you're going to do that, what are you doing to better yourself while you're sitting at home and collecting a lazy boy check? You're like, what? I'm like, a lazy boy check. You're sitting on the lazy boy waiting for the check to show up because I said, have you studied any classes? Are you signed up for anything? What are you learning? How are you collecting additional value to bring to the marketplace? And he just looked at me like, well, but I got a job.
And Real Housewives are on.
Yeah. And I just found another funny cat video on YouTube. It's a great channel. There's like 300 of them there. I've already watched 280 of them. They're hilarious. Okay. So that's fine. How are you going to make money with funny cat videos? If you're going to start making your own and you're going to monetize it, you're going to make money. I am not. There are people out there making money posting funny cat videos. If that's your dig in 23, then tell me what your channel is, and I'd like to see some of your funny cat videos if you're a friend of mine and you're making money making funny cat videos. But the job that they have, they've got a lot of spare time on their hands even when they're working. And I said, well, I met a guy that had a commute. He lived around LA and spent 2 to 3 hours a day in traffic. I couldn't do it. But thankfully, he didn't care for listening to the radio, and he bought foreign language CDs. Yes, that's back before thumb drives and MP4s. And he would put those in, and eventually he learned 9 different languages while stuck in traffic to go to his day job. And then eventually somebody found out that he could speak 9 languages and went, there's a market for that. He's like, well, I just did it because I like it. We're like, no, there is a market for that. Like, yeah. And sure enough, he made bank and didn't have to drive in traffic and got flown around to be an international interpreter. So even if you took 2023 to learn a new skill, in your spare time. We make a living 9 to 5. We make our fortune 5 to 9.
Well, I think you touched on something very critical there, TJ. No matter what you decide to do in 2023, what's your why? Why are you doing it? And is your why strong enough? And if your why is strong enough, you will create structures to see that through and fulfill on that. I want to get in shape. Well, why do you want to get in shape? Because I want to play with my kids and I don't want to die. And right now I can't walk up a flight of stairs without huffing and puffing. Well, that's a pretty strong why. So who's going to support you in that? Like, is your wife going to keep bringing you home cheesecake? Probably not going to be very beneficial, right? So surround yourself with the people that'll support you. Create that strong enough why, and you'll be successful in it.
And as I've mentioned before, is it a hardware or a software issue?
Probably mostly.
What's that?
It's probably mostly a software issue, but could be some hardware in there too, right?
Yes. And for those of you that are watching this recording and don't know what I'm referring to, a hardware issue is something that would be really hard for you to change. A physical. I want to be the center for the Lakers, and I'm 4'11". Now, am I saying that somebody who's 4'11" could not play professional basketball? No, but you better have some pretty amazing game. Now, if you're 7'5" and you want to be center for the Lakers, but you've never played basketball before, that's a software issue. And so in some of the things that are holding you back, is your mind telling you that you can't do this because it's a hardware or a software issue? Is your why too soft? Do you not have accountability? Have you made the project so large that you can't see the first step? Are you one of those people that has to see every single step with a timeline, a breakdown, a daily progress report, and all the above so that you can figure out whether you can be on track, are on track, is there a track? Or are you somebody that has trouble with focus and live next to a forest of squirrels, and you think you're going to go after this project, and then 30 squirrels run across the road, and you're like, squirrel. And they're done that, there's solutions to that too. only allowed to chase 2 squirrels after you get done with project 7.
So what advice would you give to somebody listening to the recording if they said to you, I really want to do this. I have a really strong why for wanting to do that, but I just can't bring myself to do it.
Drill down to values and criteria and what is it that is actually holding you back.
Okay, so for somebody listening to the recording that may not be that familiar with values and criteria, how would they do that?
Well, the easiest answer I'm going to give, figure out how to get a hold of me. And if I'm not a good fit, I'll let you know how to get a hold of her or him or him. We'll find, because sometimes the stories were set in so long ago that we don't understand why it's there. You know, it goes back to the story of Mom, why do you cut the ends off the ham? And if you've never heard that story, Christmas time, little girl sees grandma cutting the ends off the ham. Mom, why does she cut the ends off the ham? I don't know. Mom, why do you cut the ends off the ham? Because Mom always did it. Well, waiting for great grandma to show up. Great grandma shows up. Great grandma, why do you cut the ends off the ham? Because that's the only way it would fit into the pan that I had at the time. Lenora.
Mo, you asked a really great question. And TJ gave a really great response. For anybody who is listening, we do talk to each other outside of here because it's really helpful to have somebody else see your blind spots. You can't see your blind spots. And when you have people that you can trust, any one of these people I go to, they're looking at it with me. It's not, oh, Lenora's got this problem. They're like, oh, hey, let's solve the problem. And it's a non-judgment, and it's a let's solve it together. And people really want what's best for you to solve that problem. It's not anything else. So if anybody is interested in reaching out, the tswb.com, he offers a free consult. But yeah, anybody who would like to move beyond and they don't know where to go, hey, she's back. It's really helpful to talk with somebody who understands that and who also is wanting what is best for you, and not in the best friend kind of way, but in the we're gonna get through this kind of way.
One way that I like to describe that a lot is oftentimes it's really hard to be the driver and the passenger of the vehicle at the same time, including us on this call. We help a lot of people, and even we need to reach out and go, could you drive the bus for a little bit? Help me out with this, because I just can't quite get this figured out. And thanks, Lenora, for the awesome plug. Yes, a lot of us are willing to offer free consultations, and that's so that we can make sure that we are the best fit. We all have our own little specialties, and we're just here to make sure that people get the help that they need, whether it be advice and accountability partner, finding out, helping with PTSD, anxiety, phobias, smoke cessation, weight loss, all the above. So, got 6 minis left. Mo, you were going to say something before I jumped in?
I just wanted to just touch on what Laura said. that it's critically, critically important, going back to when you're setting your goals for what you want to see and achieve and have happen in your life for 2023, is to really have that support group around you and build that tribe that can help you and support you in that. And I'm not talking about, well, George is my best friend, so he's going to support me. George may not have the skills and the talent to give you what you need to do that. So it's critically important to develop relationships with people who can basically leapfrog you into the next 10 years. And that's why this group is so important.
I am so glad that you brought that up. Oftentimes, best friends and family are some of the worst choices for accountability partners. They will love on you and they will let you off the hook. Whereas a coach or a mentor or something like that will ask you the questions. They will hold you to what you said. They will push you beyond what you thought you were capable of. That's why so many people hire professionals at the gym, because they know if it's left to themselves, they'll go in and they'll do a couple of easy reps. They'll call it good, and they won't get the results they were looking for. But when they pay the money for that trainer, they're paying the money. So I'm not skipping because I'm paying. And two, the trainer's going to call me out on my BS. He's going to push me for that extra rep or two that creates all the change. And he's not going to let me slide. And they will know techniques that you didn't know about, just like with the stuff that we get to do. I feel blessed. I've been a fix-it person all my life since I was a little kid. Now I get to fix stuff at a level I never thought attainable. And I love it. Makes it a little hard for my wife sometimes, though. Because as much as I love you ladies, sometimes you have to understand you cannot present problems to us men and not expect us to not want to find the solution or the way to fix it, because most of us are the fixers. Yes, Lenora.
Really quick, the other day I was dropping off a package and this older man is telling this cashier a joke, and he goes, this now joke inside a joke is this man's talking to God, and he goes, God, why did you make women so beautiful? Their skin so soft, they're so beautiful to look at, their hair so soft. And God goes, so that you would love him. And the man goes, but then you let them make such stupid decisions sometimes. And he goes, because they need to love you. He was cute the way he was saying it. He was like 80 years old.
That's the other thing. Thank you for that, Squirrel. Get around the older people, spend time with them, pick their brains before their brains can't be picked anymore. Get around the Craftsman. One of the best things that I heard on that TV show, The Craftsman, and I will plug it unabashedly as much as possible, Discovery Plus. If you can't afford the here in the US, it's $60 for a year, I think, for Discovery Plus. Watch the TV show The Craftsman. Mo, you will absolutely love this show, but he said one of the things that is terrible about people that are good at stuff, oftentimes they're afraid to share their knowledge because they're afraid that somebody else might take it and do something better with it. And he said they did an excavation and found a wagon wheel with bearings in it 200 years before we knew that there were bearings. This man had designed the frictionless bearing 200 years before and let it die with him. And it took another 200 years before somebody else could figure it out.
Sometimes, though, it's the lack of acceptance that of this new idea that makes it not generally shared, especially in the medical field, that, you know, a lot of stuff that is considered mainstream now, when it was first raised, people said it's absolutely ridiculous. One of the examples being stomach ulcers being caused by a particular bacteria. And, you know, that wasn't accepted for a long time. These people were held up to be quacks. But, you know, since then, science has followed it up, and it's now, I think, mostly accepted as mainstream.
But the difference that I'm going to put on that, it was recorded even if it was ridiculed.
Yeah.
This guy had designed this and kept it a secret. And that's where Eric Hollenbeck is talking about a lot of these things that he does, that he knows, these machines that he runs. Some of the machines are from the late 1800s, early 1900s. Nobody knows how to run them. Some of the carpentry techniques that he's doing are so forgotten that he has people calling his business from around the world to have him reproduce this one item because he's the only one left that knows how to do it. And he's doing his darndest to teach as many people as possible. In one episode, for those of you that I promise that I only go 2 hours, but I got to put this out. He's been bringing kids that have been falling through the cracks in school and running a program where they get to come to his place and he teaches them all sorts of different things that he knows. And they'll find something that resonates with it. And one of the things he teaches is how to make homemade paint for $7 a gallon. Yeah, and the kids are like, you can make your own paint? Yeah, water, flour, linseed oil, and whatever minerals you put in for the coloring. So on this episode, he's got an old shed that needs to be painted. They make homemade paint, and they paint the shed. So that's the other thing that when he said that, it kind of resonated with why I want to do this. I just want to teach and share and let people know that there are things that can be done. And I also promised to keep it in 2 hours, and now we're a little past that, so it's time for me to once again, got one more time this year. So
Before you go, TJ, I just want to acknowledge you. for all the stuff and all the good that comes in your sphere and in contact with you. You've got a beautiful heart, and that's why you're going to heaven.
You're gonna make me cry now. This means I'm gonna have to say goodbye. And thank you all. Hope to see you in 7. Thank you for 51. Looking forward to 52 and many more. And for those of you watching the recording, thank you for watching all the way to the end. Leave a comment, share. See you
Thank
back
you,
here
TJ.
soon, Rick. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.